Welcome everyone. We will be talking about facilitation skills in this presentation. So, exactly facilitation skills is all about ensuring as a trainer, how do you enable your trainees or participants in the training program to achieve their goals? This is what we are looking forward to. Let us proceed with the agenda first and foremost thing. The agenda is very simple. It is to share the best practices as far as facilitation is concerned. We will be talking about what are the execution gaps and how do we mitigate those gaps with the help of our work environment to discuss certain or to sort out certain real life issues as in co-development mode is concerned. Remember, any meetings, you look into the pic that I've already given to you, any meetings can really boil down to essentially three things, nothing beyond that. Yes, we are talking that they can achieve the objectives. They may take a minimum amount of time. They leave the participants feeling that a sensible process have been followed. Or should I say the one word for the third objective is satisfaction. A sense of satisfaction is at what every participant of the meeting would actually feel. So yes, group objectives, minimum amount of time taken to come to a decisions, and probably a sense of satisfaction of participations for the participants in the meeting comes around it. Overall, why should we go for the meeting objectives? Remember, we are all striving to achieve, to come to a decisions, to come to an agreement, to sort out certain alternatives that can comes around it. We also get to meeting to understand the information or dissemination of information there needs to be given around it. We are looking for certain impediments or difficulties or upcoming projects or hindrance that might be there. So we are trying to pull in ideas, generate certain sense of an influence, and making your plans accordingly. Basically, in a short, we are essentially coordinating with every department, functional heads, and so on and so forth. So meeting objectives are varied, right from coming to our decisions to generating alternatives to letting know of some information to garner support and probably to plan in the future what it has been holding for us. So there are plentiful of objectives that comes around it. But essentially focus is what I'm trying to stress upon it. We need to understand the focus as far the meeting objective is concerned. We need to complete this sentence at the end of the meeting, at the end of the session. I want this group to be either sensitized or coming with an alternative solution, taking up a decision, probably planning for the future. So, what do you want? If you can complete this sentence at the close of the meeting, what do I want to achieve in a meeting first and foremost? You will understand a better way to manage the meetings thereby. Remember, to prepare an agenda, consider the following factors: your priorities, what absolutely must be covered, result, what do we need to accomplish in a meeting, participants who need to attend the meeting for it because they are the key stakeholders, sequences in order, what order will you cover the topics as on when on basis. It is usually to be covered on the basis of the priority. How much time will you spend on an each topic so that the meeting is not elongated? Date and time, when will the meeting take place? Place, where will the meeting take place, as in the venue part of it. So we need to understand the priorities, the result, the participant, the sequences, timing, date and time, place, as on when on basis, how do we go ahead with it. So diamond facilitation structures is all about expansion, divergence. We are talking about what? We are talking about how the company is going to operate in due courses of time. Now, when I say company, it can be a group of companies within the industry. What is exactly happening around it? A company can expand or diverge, or company can focus or converge altogether. So expansion is all about the issues that comes around. This is what we say the diamond structure, and that is the reason why I have not plotted it on an x-axis and y-axis. It is there and percolates to everything. It permeates to every kind of an organization. We talk about issuing of ID, information immersion, opportunity area identification, common interest. We talk about idea generation, innovation, possibilities, proposal. We talk about criteria setting, idea selection, agreement, synthesis, discussion, and action plan thereabout. all part and parcel of the group as the presentation goes around. This is what diamond facilitation structure is all known to be. We need to ensure that this happens on a daily basis for your organization not only to be successful but also sustainable in the longer duration perspective. So examples, stages in collective decision making. What are the various stages? We can have sharing of information. Yes, definitely yes. Within the meeting, a particular information that needs to be shared around it. Prioritizing of the issues, constructing of proposal, collective action plans, monitoring, evaluation, and so on and so forth. This is what we are looking forward to. This is what we are aspiring ourselves to come across with it. So stages and collective decisions, facilitated reflection. What is facilitation? What is expected from a facilitator? As the case might be, this is what reflection is all about it. Beyond definition, facilitation means making all group interaction easier. Absolutely, yes. That means there's a sense of camaraderie that is building. The sense of participation is must, because once the cooperation or every stakeholder comes on board, probably the implementation becomes much easier as well. So facilitation helps group and organization identify and probably resolve difficult issues. Facilitation provides unique solution with the unique needs that every company or every situation demand. It is based on technique that are appropriate and probably inappropriate also. Why? Because it might rub somebody in the wrong corner, wrong side. So you need to understand which is the right way and which is the wrong way, and when to adopt the right methods and when to adopt the not so unethical methods thereby. So facilitation is all about broad perception. It is not exactly science, but it is a sense of a blend between arts and science of taking together and reaching your objective with the shortest span of time. This is what facilitation is all about. It means to bring all the stakeholders onto the table and they work in tandem with one another. A good facilitator, if you look the picture that I have, everybody is attending, every attention, every eyeball is to the facilitator. Remember, a good facilitator should be empathetic. It should be result oriented, should be a master of a process of sensitizing, curating, and probably getting the things done. A good facilitator should be firm on the outcome, is flexible on the tactics. The good facilitator should be of a high energy person. But this energy should be infectious to the whole team. They should listen actively. A good facilitator is good at even not only verbals but behavioral aspect and non-verbal aspect, as the case might be. They should involve everyone, their attention, their participation, their viewpoint. There should be pauses, there should be reflections, there should be understanding, there should be a discussion. It should not be only facilitator centric, it should be a participant centric meeting or a training program, as the case might be. So yes, a good facilitator should have a lot of attributes that make the facilitator much more impactful than anything else. Let me tell it to you what are the various facilitation modes. Remember, we are talking about the facilitation mode, nothing else as for this, right? So we start from telling, proposing, moderating, stimulating, and empowering. This is what we are talking about it: telling, proposing, moderating, stimulating, and empowering. This is what the facilitation is all about it: telling where the person is actually telling what to do. But empowering is somewhere the other end of paradigm, where the facilitation is just a navigator around it, and probably the participant, the trainees, the stakeholders are doing their bits of the work on their own altogether, but facilitators only helps them to navigate to the right goals. So it is a whole changes from directive to an empowering method. From telling, they start proposing, wherein they give a lot of flexibility for the trainee stakeholders to implement on their basis of their judgment. And then probably once whether they have done it, whether they have adopted the advice of the facilitator or negated it, in either ways moderating it eventually, so that the desired goals is coming around it. Then probably this is a process where there's a transformation wherein it is becoming participatory participant centric learning and participant centric implementation is all about stimulating, as in the right path that we are talking about it, to the empowering process. Now, what are we looking at it? We are talking about the trainer's contributions to the content, interactions about the participants, ownership of the outcome by the participants, energy in the audience, and the time availability. This is what is facilitation is all about it. So yes, different facilitation modes, and what are the definitions? I have said about the five modes altogether. Telling means transmitting information rapidly and directly, absolutely in black and white, what to do and what to avoid. Proposing means selling an idea, is probably giving an idea and it is up to the person to purchase it or not, or buy the decisions or not, or walk the talk that has been given to them. We are trying, as a facilitator, you're trying to sell an idea, whether they accept it or not, whether they reject it or not, it is up to them. Moderating means encouraging productive conversations, having engagement as a platform. Stimulating means encouraging a richly creative stimul environment. We are This is where you are talking about not only benefits but also ensuring the people are reaping the benefit thereby. Empowering means enabling the group to manage itself as on when on basis. So let's say about my comfort zone. Look at the five intervention mode that I've already said it to you, where you feel most comfortable, especially under pressure. Is it telling? Is it proposing? Is it moderating? Is it stimulating? Or is it empowering? I would be delighted to be empowered, by the way. So ask a friend or colleague for feedback. Then imagine yourself operating at your best in an intervention mode that is probably new for you. Do this exercise many a times until and unless you feel at ease, and start practicing from the next meeting itself this particular process, and I am sure you will be delighted by the outcomes that comes around it. So let us understand coordination. What exactly is coordination? Another form of facilitation, nothing else. Basically, collectively putting things together. In see, this is what collectively thinking, putting things together is what coordination is all about. It is not a people-centric, departmental-centric, or functional lead-centric. It is organization as a whole working towards the particular shared goals. We are talking about it is of a process which is completely independent and voluntary, usually without clear vertical authorities, because this is cooperation. Remember, this is for the mutual benefit. The people are working towards one another, facilitating different people to work together for a goal or effect, as the case might be. This is facilitating different people. Coordination skills are for everyone involved, not just for coordinators, but for everyone else out there. So, what sort of coordination are we talking about? Why? When do we need to coordinate? Whom do we coordinate with, as the case might be? This is what we are looking forward. Why? When do we coordinate and whom do we coordinate? Is it your superordinate? It is a subordinate. What happens when there is some sort of impediment? Is it your co-worker that we look into it? How do we go about it? Remember, coordination is always horizontal in nature with their peers that comes around. Now, do I coordinate with others or coordinate with others thereby? What does it feel to be coordinated by someone else, as the case might be? This is what we are looking forward to. So, how do we know if coordination is working? If you think that you are having an extra load, and if people are not extending any sort of help, probably will understand you are tongue tied, not only tongue tied, but your hands tied. Your response, the onus of the successful culmination of the project remains on to you. So if you think people are not extending, or you are doing the whole bulk of the work, probably coordination is not working. And if you think you are at ease, working with ease, at the same time achievement of the goal is not a hindrance or not an impossible ask in itself, probably you will ensure that the coordination is absolutely working fine. So you need to tell me when it is working and when it is not working. Remember, when you feel stress, it is not working. When you are feeling free and the goal is still achieved, then probably it is working. Coordination, everybody is chipping in all together. Remember, coordination is a negotiation process. Do we really all have to have the same object? Probably not. You can share the objectives thereby. Some of the parts will be equal to more than the sum altogether. So when this happens, you will have the synergistic effect. So usually each stakeholders would have a different agenda. We have engaged in coordination only to think that we will achieve more or of our objective that we then working alone. It has its own cost, it has its own benefit, as the case might be. Coordination as a negotiation process. This is what we looking around it. Often what happens is if you're not coordinating, you might lead into doing the work simultaneously a number of times. So avoid duplication. The benefits is all to avoid duplication. The benefits is all about contradictions. Contradiction because now once cooperation has been extended, coordination has been extended, everybody knows what to do and what has been done. Thus, there are no repetition, there are no misunderstanding, there are no contradiction. External appearance of unity is manifested definitely as building relationship, information sharing takes place and efficiency becomes much more of a higher order parameter. So what are the negatives? Negatives are if you don't coordinate, probably you're doing the bulk of your work altogether. So it's more work. It is all about compromises because you know people are not supporting you, people are not helping you out onto you. So you do the work out of a compromise, and compromise is a negative connotation. Dependencies increases or dependencies become irrelevant. It becomes, it makes sense. Bulk of the work has been done by some person, some particular thing. It becomes a slower productivity. Things become slower. There is a damage to the relationship, as the case might be. This is what we are looking forward. Put yourself in their shoes. Analyze each group, interest, position, objective. Do we all have a common interest? What can they go about coordinating with me or us? Can they do better than their expectation? How probably how can I help them achieve their objectives and get more of this coordination relationship, as the case might be? This is what exactly happened. The coordinator as a mediator. Since coordination is a negotiation, sometimes a neutral party can help a diverse group find their zone of possible agreement. This is what we are talking around it. Can we have certain neutral agreements? Can we have certain agreements in which every party wins altogether? A good coordinator encourages participation and probably takes opinions from each of the party and probably incorporates them the opinion so as to help, or should I say parties whose absence would actually obstruct others altogether. So they are working in cooperation with one another, they are facilitating the things, they are helping each other in achievement of the goals at the minimum of disturbances. A coordinator helps parties look beyond their position, identify interests that might be shared with others. A coordinator uses a problem solving approach to overcome obstacles to the agreement. Yes, definitely, this is what we are all envisioning. Coordination as a facilitation. Remember, and cooperation. Sometimes coordination fails to produce a desired result. Even when parties have the shared responsibilities, shared objectives, and they know that they are going to benefit from coordinating with the effort. But then, why do we not have the desired result? Because of the process problem. The process problem is all about availability of resources or absence of resources of the availability or bad communication per se or probably improper time management. These are the many reasons which actually become detrimental towards the achievement of objectives, probably of the bad behaviors, attitude issues, and so on and so forth. So process problem becomes a big issue thereby. The pillow fight league, as a case we keep on saying. So should we go with meetings or no meetings? Should we work on another? See, there is a meeting, the vibrancy of the energies in this particular photograph is absolutely missing where everybody is dozing off. So coordination does not aim to beat. Remember, coordination does not aim to meet. It aims to achieve actions and change. It is not the meeting that the people are interested in. It's the facilitator would be looking to the have a productive meeting, but essentially coordination is in the execution of the program and to the action and the change. A meeting is just a tool to be used when it is the right tool to get the job done, as the case might be. So yes, problems in coordination is all about hierarchy, all about uneven power relationship, all about biasness, all about favoritism, all about the conflict of interest and weak participation. If this is what has been plagued in the meeting, if this is what is plagued during the execution of the project, things will falter around. So we need to understand there's a parity in power in relationship. There is a transparency in the relationship. The interest positions of each individual parties, the stakeholders are clearly stated around, and they should be ensured that they do their bit of their works and achieve their objectives thereby. And that is what the meeting deficiencies in coordination would all about it. Now let's say the facilitation problem, what is it becomes around? What is the reason why the meeting doesn't achieve the desired objective or the desired agenda altogether? Why? Because the agenda itself is not clear. The objectives are not clear. The group size is very large. It becomes unmanageable, unthinkable. And be the complexity of the agenda, complexity of the agenda becomes that they are cognitively not even understood by the participant. So if they have not understood by the participant, how do you expect them to actually see the light of the day, or probably see them participation in execution of the project thereby? First they have to understand, first they have to have a clarity in their mind before they commit to the job. So lack of key actors, disruptive behaviors thereby. So dealing with difficult participant. What is a difficult participant? How to deal with them? Group dynamics, acknowledged receipts, and so on and so forth as the case might be. So this is what we are looking around here. Let us understand the antagonism and the acceptance ratio. Antagonism is how good, how active we are, or how passive we are. How much energy do we put in, or how much energy do we withdraw, or probably suck in or suck out? That is what antagonism is all about it. And with the things called antagonism being plotted on the x-axis and acceptance being plotted on the y-axis. So you become very passive when things are not been going your favor, and you don't put in energies. You becomes a little bit grouchy, opposite, and rebellious. With the amount of energy being withdrawn altogether being increases, you become much more detrimental, probably rebellious, probably opposing vociferously, probably actually going for a strike, and so on and so forth. And then what is happening with an acceptance ratios is what, if things are rebellious, probably you turn up, the optimum result would be you are torn apart and this gets destroyed. Either that you've been thrown out of the job, or probably the company dismantles all itself. There is always a sense, the bigger part is the sense of hesitating, wherein everybody wants to have a have some sort of power in their hand, and that is where this hesitation comes around it. Well, we talk about the golden triangle is where the acceptance level is a very higher end, and probably much more better from anybody else. So acceptance level is on a higher end, committed level which comes around it, wherein you will ensure that this is a successful ventures come what may, and this is what we are looking for it. So dealing with dysfunctional behaviors, there are people, and I have just given you a pick around here. People actually fight, and this is what popularly known as political ambiances of an organization that comes around. People are taking sides, people are making groups, people are belonging to a certain camps, and so on and so forth. Now, how do we show our resentful behavior? By coming late, definitely yes. By mobile phone abusers, side talks, packs having an argument, oysters, clown, dinosaurs, doodlers, you name it, and we have it. As far as dysfunctional behaviors are all about it. So we have side talks, we have clowns who making jokes about it, oysters, they want to be within their shelf, they do not want to understand or even participate on what exactly has been talked about it. The dinosaurs, they think it too little, too menial of the meetings, minutes of the meetings or the execution. Thereby, doodlers, they are in their own world, probably engaging certain other activities as the case might be. So, how to improvise? First and foremost thing is we need to understand the mental moves models altogether, as for the images, assumption, and the stories that the people carry in their mind. The narrative in the mind is very important, and we need to address them. The chain reaction, how do we go around it? Do we start with the facts and come to the conclusion, or do we start with the conclusion and comes with the fact? In between is the assumption. So we have two methods of doing it. If you don't do adopt the words, adopt the methods, you will be fired, or you become irrelevant to the organization. Do we start from this thing, or do we say, see, look what is happening with the data, this is how we are working, but probably if we can work in and around in a particular fashion, we might actually improve to be a much better organized workforce altogether. So we are starting from the data and probably coming to the conclusion. So the way you want to go around it, people have different styles to go around. So this is where the moderation takes place. So explore those mental models. Avoid people battling over conclusions. You might briefly explain the concept of ladder of interference. Ask for clarification. The idea is ask more questions so that this becomes a sense of engagement with your participant, with your trainees, with your audiences. It will help you understand how to come to a conclusion. Ask others in the group what they think about the conclusion by one particular participant. Are the participant relevant? You will find a lot of energy that will comes around within the audiences. Thereby, they will come up with certain pertinent points which might be accepted, outrightly rejected by other participants. But eventually, it will ensure there's a good participation and the facilitator is doing a vibrant work in managing the audiences and probably having a conclusive meeting thereby. With these thoughts, I come to an end of this presentation. Thank you for watching this video.